Hey y'all, Bearded Rose Golf Show back at it again. I am Rod.
And Marcus.
Um, Coming a day later. We have been playing around a little bit with the Monday Sunday deal. Just when football's back, we do not get priority in your life, and that's okay. We'll
It's
suffer through
fine.
it. You can catch
We'll
us on the
maneuver.
replay. It's right. We'll always bring the content. And then last week y'all might have missed. We almost lost Marcus on the show, so glad to have him back. Almost lost him on screen too, man.
Terrible.
Anyway, so here we are, a week of the President's Cup. September's a little bit slow. I'm just kind of giving you the rundown of the topic. So we're going to talk a little bit about BMW PGA Championship, the Queen City Championship in Cincinnati for the LPGA ladies. They were back at it right after the Solheim Cup. It looked like they had a pretty good showing. All the ladies stayed over, got
Yeah.
some run in. Um, Billy Horschel, I screwed up on one or what's in the bag, so they got away from me. But it's all good. And I also attended a live event this weekend, so talk a little bit about that. I said I would do it, give it a fair shot, and give my experience. And no one can say that we haven't tried it. And then we also have a couple of discussions on life in the golf shop, as well as um, using a rangefinder versus GPS. And
Yeah.
yes, Miss Crystal, we are also glad Marcus is
Thank you,
feeling
Crystal.
better. Thank you for the well wishes. All right, let's go through the professional stuff, and then we'll jump into our kind of our off topic stuff. So Lydia Ko, jump off the out of the gate with her winning by 5 strokes. Gino Thithicool was second, but she was saying after the round that Lydia was her idol growing up, and that's pretty cool to compete
Yeah.
with your idols. Given that Lydia is only 27 years old, it feels like she's been around forever. We discussed that. We've discussed the heck of a season that she has had. This is adding to her win total. Let's tick it down. Qualified for the Hall of Fame already. Won the Open Championship. Won a gold medal. Heck of a year for Lydia Ko. Seeing a major resurgence. We've talked about her a couple weeks ago after she won, the back to back with the gold medal and then winning the Open Championship. What do you think about
Yeah.
Miss Lydia Ko? What's the outlook for next year?
Uh, if she doesn't win Player of the Year this year, just based off of recency bias, then I think she's in a strong running for next year. I mean, it's scary right now because she shot 63 on the final day to come back from two down to start to end up winning by five. That's a big jump. And it didn't even look difficult. It looked like everything was running smooth. It looked like if, if the shot she called, every shot that she called for, she hit. It felt like on the coverage, she didn't miss. And, she was hitting it to 7 feet, 5 feet, making the putt, hit it in greens, made an eagle on the final day. I mean, Lydia had it all going. So, I mean, if not for Lydia, I mean, I think, I mean, if not for Nelly in the first part of the season, I think Lydia is a runaway for Player of the Year this year in the LPGA. And I think after winning the Open, the very next week after winning a gold medal, that's that's a lot of concentration and really good golf in a 2 week span. So again, not a lot of players besides Tiger are doing things like that. So it's hard to really deny her greatness and what's going on as far as this year she has keep going because they still have the Arkansas Open, then they're going over and making an Asian swing, and then they still have their CME Race to the Globe Championship to play in November. So she's got a lot more golf to prove, and I think she's going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's very refreshing to see her, and she's looking like she's doing it with a smile on her face.
Very
early on in
happy.
Lydia's career with a lot of the stress and strain around her parental relationship seems like that's in the rearview mirror, excuse me. She's a married young lady. A lot of life left to go for her. So she's one of
Yeah,
those where, we've seen her for a long time, her being really still committed to retiring at age 31. And so, we got about 4 more years left with her on the LPGA. Plans can change, but she seemed pretty secure in where her career is. And given
yeah,
the golf that she's playing, she could tuck away a few more majors in addition to that. So I'm super happy for her as just on a human level to see someone enjoying their life, not getting sucked up in the trappings of being a professional athlete super early. I think we've seen the opposite, honestly, from Lexi Thompson. Even though she's kind of on her farewell tour, ending her full time schedule this year. I know we'll still see her going forward, but it seemed like she
right.
reached a point of burnout when she was making her announcement to step away from the game from a full time standpoint. So shout out to Lydia for finding joy. Always celebrate that, especially in the
Very true.
high pressure, stakes of being a professional athlete. So shout out to her. And
Yeah.
also,
Uh,
kind of, swing over, go over, go ahead, go ahead.
the craziest part, I mean, well, another craziest part, because there's a lot of crazy things going on right now with Lydia, but she's just 27, just like you said, but 28, 29, 30, 31. They got 5 majors a year. She's got 20 more pops at majors, 20 more pops at majors. So we'll see how much her total can grow.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, I don't think 31, if, planning to start a family is not too bad. That's when me and my wife had, when she had our kiddo. So
Yeah.
31 seemed, people are having kids later, enjoying life. So the timing seems right for her.
Yep.
Let's swing it on over to Wentworth with another senior statesman making a resurgence, Billy Horschel. Quietly, although, I mean, he's had a really solid 2024. Got into the FedEx playoffs, lasted
Yeah.
all the way till the end, and he's had some down years and some life struggles as well. But seeing a resurgence in the game, so this was his second time winning the BMW Championship at Wentworth. Won it a few years ago. This one in thrilling fashion, and just because of copyright, and I may kind of work this out in the post editing, is working in his Saturday run of 7 birdies in a row. And were an impressive 7 birdies, long putts. It wasn't like he
Yeah.
was tapping in, and it was some pretty impressive golf Saturday on moving day to put himself in contention for Sunday. Goes down into a playoff with Rory McIlroy and Tristan Lawrence from South Africa. So they had, a nice battle in that par five that's reachable, and Billy Horschel able to close it out with a eagle putt down the
Yeah.
hill to take it over Rory McIlroy. And they seem pretty chummy, and I'm sure over the years as Billy's been involved with the board living in Ponte Vedra, Rory also, kind of heavily involved in the back end discussions over the last couple of years. They seem to really embrace each other. What do you think about two aspects? The first question is the impressive win from Billy, and also another week where Rory's not able to close the deal. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I mean, Rory's damn near a Florida boy now, so they're definitely very buddy. I was saying this weekend though, I mean, when I saw they got paired in back to back rounds, I'm like, Rory's, relatively back at the crib with his DP World Tour boys, and I'll be damned if Billy don't follow him over there, and now he's got to be paired up with him again. I'm trying to get away from the PGA for 1 week, and I can't even do it in a few hours from the crib. So I thought that was funny. First off, um, yeah, I mean, Billy says he likes it over there, so kudos to him. You know how we feel about Billy, so the golf cannot be diminished though. He did what he was supposed to do. He shot like
You know,
65, 67 or something like that on the weekend to get into that playoff. And yeah, it's just real sad about Rory because Rory once again put himself in a fantastic position, actually clutched up going down the home stretch, made some really good putts, some really good lashes at the golf ball, and put himself in some good, a good situation to really take it home. But Billy hit the wedge shot that of a lifetime, really, and hit it to about 4 or 5 feet inside of Rory. So Rory got up and down
yeah,
off that crazy hook. But yeah, I mean, not saying I have some sympathy for Rory this week, but I just think it's another case of Billy out here just doing what he needed to do to win. Rory gave him a perfect read on that eagle putt. And then Billy took advantage. He went to school, as you should, as a pro golfer, and rolled it in. So I mean, he went birdie birdie in the playoff. Bro went birdie eagle to win it.
right,
So again, I just think Rory's putting himself in situations to win it, and he's going to fall and he's going to climb back into that winner's circle. I mean, as much as we talk about him not being able to close the door, bro still got something like 40 wins, worldwide. So he he keeps putting himself in a situation. He's going to close the door again. So I want to look into it a
for
little
sure.
bit more, but at the end of the day, Rory's still my guy, and I just think that you know Billy just went out and won it. So it's
No
tough.
doubt.
It's
Same
tough
same
talking
thing we
about,
saw.
man.
Same thing we saw last week with Rasmus Højgaard getting three birdies
Yeah,
down the stretch to take that one. So yeah, I mean when a
yeah,
guy goes out there and plays golf in front of you, all you can do is shake his hand, pat him on the back, and wish him is good playing, my guy.
truly,
No hate
yeah,
at all, especially when you're playing solid golf. And the fact that Rory continues to put himself in position, he may not have his fastball right now, but he's playing some really good golf. Um,
yeah. He
I
doesn't
do
seem
hope
mentally
that,
shook,
you
which is
know, ano-
which is good.
no, no, he's not broken by it at all. I think he knows he's very close to where he wants to be.
Yeah,
We'll have another off season where he's not involved in the business side of the PGA Tour and live discussions. Even though those talks seem to have been, there's been a few things that have happened that seem like the talks are heating up in the background. So
yeah,
we may see a deal here impending. But again, another year away and separated from Rory. Hopefully that lends to a really successful 2025 season for him, as he's able to focus, get past the divorce stuff that went on in the background. It's been a heck of a
right.
year, a last few years for Rory, to be honest with you. And I know he mentioned cutting down on his participation in events. He's played a lot of golf as well. Him always putting in a lot of time on the DP World Tour as well as the PGA Tour. So
Yeah,
he's
very
getting up
true.
there in age, still a young man, but I mean, you got to focus in your efforts and hopefully go win some next year. So
Yeah,
we're rooting for Rory. We're fans over here, and hopefully 2025 is his year. Um, that's it on the other professional tours. I did not watch the older gentleman go to work this weekend. Just um wasn't in the schedule, so we're not even going to mention that one. We'll keep it moving. Let's get into the live golf, man. So they played their team championship this week here in
yeah,
our hometown of DFW, Carrollton to be exact. And
yeah,
I mentioned that I was gonna go. I was gonna go see it in person, see what it was like, and experience it firsthand. As we've been very vocal about our opposition to the league as a whole. I've been posting a lot on TikTok, and I mentioned in videos I posted over there that I still don't like the business model, and I just want to kind of hit
yeah,
some high level observations from my time there, and then I'll kind of let you respond. So right off the bat, I'll give the good. Shuttle system amazing. They had shuttles going in and out all day, super quick to get on and go to the site, also coming back. Very well run in terms of that. Parking was free. That was also a really cool touch. And these are things that startups should be doing to get new customers acquired.
Yeah. How
The
far away
ticket,
was it?
I bought a solo ticket. It was a mile and a half away from where we parked,
Proximity
and then
parking
getting
to
to
the
the site.
course. That matters.
Yeah, mile and a half. Yeah, it does. You don't want to be on a shuttle for 15 minutes, back and forth. So really efficient there. Bought a solo ticket for myself since the little one's still under 12. She was able to get in for free with my ticket, which is pretty awesome. I do believe the PGA Tour does that as well. If I think when
Yeah.
we went to the Colonial earlier this year, that was the case as well. So cool touches, bonus things that you can get as kind of if you're taking a bigger family out there, you want to look where you can save some money. So free parking and then kids complimentary under 12. So positives. You get into the site and from there it honestly felt very much like outside of the overindulgence in their badging and team names. There's flags flying all over the place. They have the LIV Golf signs where you can take pictures in front of them. Same thing with their end of year team championship. And so you walk into the event and it feels pretty much like a golf tournament at that point. There was really no differentiation in my eyes other than music being ever present. You cannot
Yeah.
move. Once you get
No
on
breaks
site,
from it.
there are speakers. No, it's everywhere. It's right next to tee boxes. I was telling Lee, I was like, if I was a player, the volume, would have bothered me. But the speakers are facing, I guess, towards the crowd and away from the players, so it's
Mm.
probably in the background. They can hear it, but again, you cannot get away from the music. If you start moving away from a speaker, you're gonna
You
run
moving
into
closer
one
to
50
another one.
yards down the way. Correct. So that's one thing that is distinctly different from a PGA Tour event is the music. And I thought about making a video talking about past the Oxborough because the music selection was super trash. I don't know, like people get to Texas and start playing country music like that's all people listen to here. When,
Right.
to be honest with you, it's not as popular as people think in the state of
The
Texas.
people of
So,
Carrollton don't listen to country.
Leah, no, but I swear, people think that we ride horses and wear cowboy hats all year round and listen to old school country music. And yeah, there's an element to that,
Believable.
but very much metropolitan and cityfied. So those are the highs, right? The golf was pretty uninspired, so it's interesting. We were walking in as they were shuttling all the players out to their holes for the shotgun start, and we saw like six players pass in front of us in carts heading to the kind of outward part of the course. And after they all passed, last one was Thomas Peters. He was on looking at which most of them did. Leah turns to me and says, "They look unexcited." I was like, "What?" She was kind of like, "Okay," and I was like, "I'm gonna have to get you on camera saying that," so I had to record it. Um, Chris, so let's pull this up. So, how was the Live fan zone? So right near where you walk in is all the kind of grandstands. We did not buy any special tickets to those areas. I will say kind of it wasn't family friendly as I would have liked. Not a lot of kind of interaction for kids.
Mm.
There were a handful of kids, but to be honest with you, I've seen more kids when you look at the ratios of adults to kids at a tour stop, typically see more kids involved. This was an event for big kids. There are
Mm.
carts actually on the course running around like a cart person on a local municipal course selling drinks, and of course they have the traditional concession stands as well. So yeah, it's for the adults, and even the areas where the Club 54, very much adult oriented. It would have been useful, like if I was going out with like golf buddies, I would have probably opted for something like that with drinks and alcohol. I wanted to walk around. That's what I usually do, but it was also hot, which me and Marcus talked about after the live event in Houston. That you cannot have tournaments in Texas after a certain date where people are
Yeah,
exposed. Where this course is located, you could tell it was just an open space and they threw a course in there. There's some water on it, but there weren't a lot of trees for cover, and it was full sun. So by the time we left, it was about 91, 92 degrees, 96 in my car when we got back to it. So somewhere in
mm,
between there. And and a little bit humid, right? So Dallas has been a lot more humid this year than in past years. It's not quite Houston, but it was very humid, and when you add 92 degrees, it was hot. And so we stayed 3 hours. We were starting to refill on drinks, and we would have been doing that all day. Concessions were reasonably priced. So that was my experience, right? It was fine, but to me there was nothing that would differentiate it and say that is a place where all my fandom and my money is going to go.
yeah,
And it's cool. I would encourage everyone to go and experience it in person, which we said that in person it's probably decent, right? But the TV product sucks to us because you kind of
right.
hear the remnants of the music on the TV product. um so yeah, that's my opinion.
They're
Generally
not as
held up,
seamless as
right?
us. They're not seamless either. They're jumping around and pretty spotty like we are sometimes when our connection is going through and through. So that's another thing that's annoying. And then the whole time, it's the lull of this background music that's faced at the crowd and not the players. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. 100%. It doesn't matter if you're a
Yeah,
casual or like what you would call a fan. Everybody's annoyed by that.
right. And so the first hole we watched, we were on the hole where Patrick Reed and his group started, and he hit it into this area with like a natural area with fescue, and he got a ruling apparently, and not apparently, but throughout this course, just because they can't water. It's again a massive, expansive space. You can't
Yeah.
water everywhere. So off the fairway and kind of off the primary rough, there were a lot of cracks. And that happens in Texas where when we're starting to drought, again, another aspect of a course in Texas this late in the year, there were a lot of cracks that we even experienced just walking around in the spectator areas. And so they were getting relief from cracks. So he was able to pull it out of a crack in the fescue. Another ruling with Patrick Reed,
Right.
and take free
I was
relief from
thinking
that
that.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing, I think Mark Leishman ended up in an area, a spot that was just off the fairway like that, and they, had to take some time to adjudicate the ruling. So yeah, the flow of the round is also something to take note of when someone starts out like Bryson DeChambeau. He was the main follow. Not hometown kid, but went to SMU in Dallas, resides in Dallas. And so pretty much the crowds were following him. There were some other ones where people were interested, Cam Smith. But his team, Bryson DeChambeau's team, was out of the tournament. And so he was teeing off on number 13. So the leaders got to tee off of one, and of course, they have the natural finish at 18. He started on 13. So we kind of went to the opposite side and said we would backtrack and catch up with him, which we did. And we ended up watching a couple of holes with Bryson and kind of getting in some good spots before the crowd made it over. But that's also something that's on site. It's hard to get around to everybody, right? I think you'd probably still
Right.
use the method of posting up in one place, but trying to rotate around and you're looking at your brochure, seeing like when somebody started and when they might come to your area, definitely different than a PGA Tour stop where everybody starts out on 1 or 10. So just
Yeah.
again, not good, not bad, kind of like okay, it's different, but it's not something that let's say enjoyed. I'm like, oh, this is super cool to have to do all this tracking. So
Right.
that's my honest kind of experience with it. I spent my money on it so I could bring that versus us just yelling at the clouds from a distance. So, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was peeping the ticky tock. So I mean, I think it really just goes back to what we were referring to as far as golf in Texas in September, last minute planning of courses and things like that. Because yeah, Mary Doe's a private course. Yeah, it's in Carrollton. It's a very nice area, probably very nice facilities, but let's make sure we're vetting courses to where it's more fan friendly. Again, if we're gonna do one thing bad, let's cover it up by doing a lot of other things good. So we made sure we did that with the shuttling. We made sure we did that with reasonably priced amenities. But brother, if I'm out here and there's very little tree cover, I think I'm gonna stay towards the beginning or I'm gonna stay towards the concessions. And if I want to see other people and I want to see the lay of the land, if I'm a true golf nerd, which I would refer to myself as, I'm going to want to see the lay of the land. I'm going to want to see the course. If it's no break in the heat, if there's no relief, then I'm not going to venture very far. So again, I think that's one thing that we need to just think about as we go and we judge or not judge these, facilities and things like that. So just like what you were saying in the Tiki Talk, PGA, you're not going to see a lot of maintenance carts and things like that. You're going to see some rules officials. You're going to see camera crews. They're going to be in electric carts. They're not going to be busting along in their gas carts and things like that. They're not going to be shuttling back and forth trash, extra water bottles, extra Gatorades, and things like that. Because all that stuff has already been pre-planned. Already know logistically how we're gonna go. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things that I would mention as well. But luckily, as I talked to you on Friday before the or Thursday before the event was even going on, some dickhead was talking about, oh, you're not watching the live, brother. I don't even know what channel CW is on, and it doesn't start until Friday, bro. Mind your business.
Right.
Mind your
Right.
business, bro. Another TikTok
And
Aggie
that's another.
just another pro
Well,
shop thing that
that's
just aggravated me.
one thing. Also, is the start time. So the first that they teed off at 11:05. Again,
Better than 12,
for the Texas, it is better than 12. But honestly,
but they
I
should have did
wouldn't have
9 or
minded
10.
having to get. I wouldn't have minded getting out there at 8 o'clock. To be honest with you, that's that's the
1,000%.
honest truth. And And the truth is that we were not in the minority in terms of leaving at the time that we left. So essentially, about half the holes were done once we left, which is about two and a
Mm-hmm.
half hours after the start. And there were a stream of people leaving with us, right? So we were competing with people to get on the bus the
Yeah.
fastest, and it was people wanting to get out of that heat and exposure. There were correspondingly a handful of people that were coming back up against us and, coming into the event halfway through. And that part of that could be that there was a concert after the fact, right after the conclusion of, the awards of the team championship. There was a concert that followed that. So that could have been a reason why people would have a late arrival. And
Yeah.
also, just I fundamentally think there might be a misunderstanding with people that, you go to a PGA Tour event, that it is all day, right? And you're gonna step in. If the later you go in the day, especially on the weekend, you're seeing the leaders later in the day
You're seeing the better
versus showing
players.
up
Yeah.
super
Mm-hmm.
early. Right. And so maybe for people who are not golf savvy, who that's who Liv is courting, they're trying to get a different audience in there. That may be what fits the bill for them, and they're unexperienced in golf and they don't understand like showing up late. you're halfway through the event. So I don't know. Again, logistically, I have no idea how other people view it. I mean, of course, we have a understanding of the layout and scheduling, etc. But there are just
Yeah.
people out there because it's a fun place to be. So, um, you know, Dallas and social scenes, they're popping, right? It's a bunch of singles out there, especially the guys looking
Oh
for
yeah.
prospects. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the crowd that I experienced there. I mean, it was safe. I think Crystal was like, "This is the party league," and then I'm like, "No, it's safe. It's fine, right?" It's never at any
Yeah.
point did I feel like okay. Um, but there were a couple of weird incidents where a guy was not paying attention. I saw him backing up into me, walking down the pathway backwards, talking to his friends. I just put my hand out, and he ran into my like I had it kind of extended away from my body, and he's like, "Oh my bad,"
Right.
and super embarrassed, but yeah, that was the kind of environment. You had to kind of watch, what was going on around you just because the drinks were flowing, high noons in pretty much everybody's hands. That's hit Dallas like a plague. I don't know how popular they are in Houston, but high noons are the thing up here,
There's still
including
Topo
myself.
Chico in it up over here. Topo
Yeah, that's
Chicos,
the inferior.
Neutrals, all the other
Hmm.
subsidiary ones. We have high noons in here. We have high noon vodka seltzer. We have the tequila seltzer now, and then now we just got in like some teas as well. So peach tea, regular tea, stuff like that. So we're high noon nation over here, brother. We're updated and we're uppity over here.
Okay.
I don't know about the rest of these crews.
Okay. So that was my live experience, right? Again, like I'm gonna reiterate, not good, not bad, very average.
Yeah,
So
indifferent.
that's what it is. It's yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, I've been. I didn't hate it. I mean, other than the music, got a little annoying, but yeah, go check it out. If it's near your city or you can drive, go experience it. Give it a fair shot. Do I ever think it'll ever take overtake the PGA Tour? No. There's nothing significantly different about it, and the play and that's another thing. John Rahm was not even playing this week. He called out with the flu, did not participate. DNP, they filled in some rando off the street to compete for his team. So didn't even have their biggest hitter at the event that
Captain
I
of the
went to.
team.
So that sucked. That sucked.
Captain of the team with the
Let's
most
get
money
into
on the line.
I know. I know. Let's get into the President's Cup stuff. I'm gonna pull up Instagram because I didn't do like anything special for it, but let me pull this up. All right. How big is that? Let me see if I can blow this up just a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna go into the President's Cup this week. I know I was excited after the Solheim Cup. Looking forward to some more team golf.
Yep.
How are you feeling about President's Cup?
4 days. Gotta love it. I mean, they're really putting the points up. It's like 28 points total or something like that. Or no, close, maybe like 35 or something. I don't know. It's a lot of points. It's Thursday through Sunday, and then they still have all 12. Maybe that's why we thought Adam Scott was having have so many damn matches because they play four
Sorry.
days.
Yeah,
They
that's
play
true.
4 days.
It's a
I
different
forgot that.
format.
Yeah, and so they do
Sorry, I'll
three
spray it.
days of foursomes and four ball. But no, like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, this is probably the most formidable international team that they will have ever. You got Prime Hideki, you still got resurging Adam Scott, you got healthy Jason Day, you got Ben On, you got a healthy crew of Canadians, so the fanfare is going to be good up there at Royal Montreal. You got Steady Eddie Sung Jung M, you got Lightning in a
Yeah.
Bottle Tom Kim, and then you got randomly Christian Bezuidenhout. So kudos to him for somehow making the team, and I don't know how he's going to fit in, but he's there. He is
Yeah.
there, and he is going to play at least twice. So, boom. Um, but yeah, I still
I
say
think
that.
I
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it's gonna be competitive. I think it's gonna be more competitive
I
than
agree. I think this is going
previously.
to be the
Yeah.
best ones. I think this is going to be one of the best ones. Um, I do still think that America's going to come up on top, but that's just because of, again, it's our best is better than their best. Yeah, the bottom might, even out in the middle. They might have a few extra guns in there, but they ain't got nobody coming with Scotty. They ain't got nobody coming with Xander. I mean, honestly, at this point, they don't even really have anybody coming at Sahith or Keegan. I would hold them in
Yeah.
that top third, and then you go kind of Tony, Colin, Cantley, Wyndham, and then you got Sam, Russ, Brian, Max, kind of just leading out the bottom third. And even then,
No,
Max four and
don't
0.
you dare put Max in the bottom. Max is
I'm
four
just
zero and
saying
0 in his President's
in
Cup.
President's Cup, but what I'm saying in recency playing, we not really just out here talking about Max. That's my dog. Max is gonna come to play
But I get
because it's
you.
competition. But
Well,
no,
and I think
but
that's
that's
the
what I was wrapping it back
differentiator.
in. That's what I was wrapping it back
Okay.
in. Even if he's the bottom third, he's 4-0 in President's Cup. So it's still scary hours for the international team. That's all I was getting ready to say. Russell Henley on a roll. Brian Harmon, he
Yeah.
gonna bore you to death, but he ain't missing fairways. He ain't missing greens. It might take him like an hour to get there, but he ain't missing. You know what I'm saying? And then Sam Burns, in them forcing matchups, he gonna put people to death. I it's gonna be a really good, highly touted game this year. So I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
Yeah. For sure. I'm excited.
Hideki ain't got no
I'm
excuses.
kind
His
of
back
just
is good now. I'm
yeah.
just thinking
Few
like,
weeks to rest.
yeah, he gonna put him on a back. And I think he'll now that's like a question within a question. Who do you think is gonna play the most matches? Nobody's gonna go all seven. It's just not even needed. But who do you think is going? You think a guy like Tom Kim? You think he's going to play like 5 or 6 matches? I think a guy like Minwoo Lee,
No.
if he does something his first game or first day, I think he
Yeah.
plays 6 out of 7 or 5 out of 7 or whatever that they got going on. But
I I I think from the international team, just because they're healthy, um, Jason Day gets a lot of run. I think he gets out there 5 times.
yeah,
Ben On has had a really solid season.
really
Not
consistent. You're right.
particularly. I mean, he's had some really consistent. I think he gets out there 5 times, and I agree with the Minwoo Lee. He's a kind of a wild card, so I do agree.
Yeah,
It's based on his early performance, because he can get really hot and he can also get really cold. Um,
yeah,
so I'm excited about their prospects. Honestly, they have some hitters, and I like the consistency. On the U.S. side, you're a fool if you don't get Scotty out there at least 5.
yep.
Wyndham Clark
Agreed.
has seemed to find his game. I don't think he matches up well with like in the team environments, especially not when it comes down to like foursomes. I don't like Wyndham Clark
Right.
in foursomes. I like him in four ball.
Four
I
ball.
think he gets
Yeah,
you
we can play
holes
his own ball.
because he's
Yeah.
just yeah. Um, and Colin is also going to be really good. I think he plays well. He's long enough. He's not your longest, but he finds fairways, gets you off the tee. Um, I think he's longer than Brian Harmon, right, as a fairway finder. And so,
Yeah.
and I love his iron game as well. I don't know. There's so
Yeah.
many combos, that they can throw out there, but I would say for the US and also Max Homa could get a lot of run again, depending on how he starts, gets inspired by the team side of it. I
Yeah.
can tell he gets fired up in the team room. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
Max
Yeah.
kind of get a resurgence, because I think that also will bleed into his regular game as we get back into the regular part of golf as well. I think he's had a
Yeah.
really down year, and I would love to see him come back. I think I love him on social media, love him as a human being from what we can see. So I want to see him playing
Right.
well again.
And I think he's actually the type
Uh,
to take on Wyndham Clark as a teammate and be okay with that, and kind of lead him and
yeah.
deal with that whole self-centered thing that Wyndham's got going on. But he's a golfer, so that's how they think.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll love to review the results this coming week when they wrap it up. But I'm looking forward to sitting in front of the TV quite a bit and getting a lot of that in. I'll let you pick GPS or rangefinder or shop life first.
Let's do GPS. I know we'll go through that a lot quicker.
Okay. So I saw a video online recently, and it was a guy just really talking about stats, kind of bringing in some of the Arcos data. And the argument was that for, amateur golfers and really outside of professionals, they'd be better suited by utilizing a GPS, knowing your front, middle, back yardages, and really aiming for the back. Because the stats show that most amateurs come up
Come up
short
short.
in
Yeah.
front of greens and under club, get overly confident in their ability to strike it well. So his advice was no front, middle, back. Because I think the point that he made in terms of going away from rangefinders is that yes, you're getting the exact yardage to the flag, but occasionally those flag, like when you focus on flag, if it's in a tucked area, that you end up short sighting yourself and ending up missing, on the side of the green where the flag is, and you have very little green to work with when you're chipping. What are your thoughts on that? I know we both use rangefinders, but I've played with it. It's hard to break the habit once you've established it. Because I said I was going to play around this weekend, focusing only on front, middle, back. But then there were some spaces where I'm like, I need to know where this, like the exact on this flag. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation. Again, this is all perspective. This is all experience. Some people get a clouded mind from thinking about an exact number, and they want to keep it a little bit more general. And so that's why they do front, middle, back. But to me, again, as you level up and gain skill, you gain more preciseness. Now, if everybody's doing this correctly, we're all learning our carry numbers, right? We're learning
Uh-huh.
how far the ball goes in the air before it touches down, and then it releases. And you kind of get a parameter of, I hit that one out of the screws. That one should roll out about 5 yards. I hit that one a little skinny. That one should roll out about 10 or 15. I hit that one fat. I don't think that's going to roll out. It might not even make the green. These are things that we need to be taken into account as we use our laser finder. So if you are a beginner, if you are still relatively mid to high handicapper, yes, not being exact and precise will play to your advantage because it will keep your brain from getting cloudy. It will let you be more decisive on a particular yardage. Okay, the starter told me that blue is back, yellow is middle, red is front. It's a blue flag. I know my yellow yardage is my 7 iron, so I'm gonna hit there. If I hit it a little bit better than I usually do as a mid handicapper, it should release out to that back pin. La 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 la. Or it's a back pin. I'm gonna hit the 6 instead, and if I hit it a little bit chunky, it's still going to be in the middle of the green. So, yes, but ultimately speaking, the better you get and the more you tend to, buy into how good you are as a golfer, you want to be precise. So, use that laser finder and shoot to the big shoot to where you think you're going to hit or where you need to land in some of these tucked pins or these double tiered greens and stuff like that. Okay, the flag is in the
Right.
back. Let me shoot to that mound in front of it and see how far that is. And then let me shoot the flag. And that gives me the accurate calculations of what club I need to use. Okay, well, I do want to make sure I'm on that
A little more
upper
extra data.
tier. Exactly. Okay, I want to be on that extra tier. Let me make sure I'm using a club to get all the way to the top. If I go over the flag, it's a chip and putt. I'll get out of there with a par or a bogey, or I'll be on the right, level and have an easy putt or a reasonable putt. I need to shoot to get over that bunker. Your GPS isn't always going to have a picture in picture of the green view plus the hazards that you have, around the green surrounding it or the water or whatever that. Some you have to pay to get that extra little knowledge as far as where the bunker, what the yardage is for the bunker, not just front, middle, back. So both sides of the
Right.
story have positives. But me personally, I am always going to bear on the side of laser finder and shooting to where I need to go now. That's just where I'm at in my
I
life
know.
and how precise I feel like I'm
I
playing.
know. But I think to me, like I've gotten into there's a book I've been listening to the last week, and I've just barely touched it when I've had some free time. But it's called The Little Book of Breaking 80, and I kept getting ads for it on Audible. I'm like, let me just get it so when I'm in the car I can put it on if I remember to. But he's still in the
Yeah,
early parts about it of the book, and he was saying that when you're first starting to play golf and even when you're struggling, right? You get into the game of he said there's two different games that you can play. You can play the game of golf, right? That's focusing on the scoring, right? Cuz you may not always have your best game that day. You know, you might have to get up and down. That's where the short game comes in. That's playing the game of golf. And he said a lot of instructors actually don't teach you how to play the game of golf. They teach you how to play the game of golf swing, right? So you're
yeah,
working on being super technical, hitting certain positions, the technical aspects of the golf swing, which that's cool, right? We've seen different swings achieve the same, rate of success, if not better. They don't always have to be technically great because you look
yeah,
at somebody like Adam Scott. If we were playing the game of golf swing, Adam Scott would have won 8 majors, 10 majors because his swing
yeah,
is aesthetically
easily.
perfect. It's as textbook
Yeah,
as it gets. And I think oftentimes, like when you're mixing in a rangefinder, kind of focusing on a specific part of the green, mixed with like these technical thoughts about the golf swing, it can be too much. And I
yeah,
remember like when I started this golf season, I told myself that I was not going to. Yes, I was still using a laser finder, but I said I was not aiming at any flags, and I would just play kind of to the middle of the green. That was always my aiming point. I was never aiming at flags, and couple weeks ago, I had a scenario like that. I had to chip out from, a bad position, had like a 9 iron into a flag. The flag was on the left hand side. I thought I had been hitting my nine good enough to just stick it close. Guess what? I was a little bit off. It hit the left side of the green, tumbled down a hill. I was short sighted, ended up with like a double bogey. And that was like this kind of aha moment. Like, dude, stop going at flags. Because if the worst case scenario occurs, you end up, with a really hard position to get up and down, and you've now screwed yourself because you could have just aimed. You had the yardage correct, you just pulled
yeah,
it. And versus if I had pulled it from aiming at the middle of the green, I'm on the flag, or I'm in a much better position. So I
right.
don't know. I think it does totally depend on where you're at with your game. But I think when you're struggling in one area, I think playing the game of golf, let's say your swing isn't where you want it to be, maybe it's a day range and maybe it's week to week, round to round, you put the rangefinder up and you focus on scoring and saying, okay, I don't have my best stuff, aim at the middle of the green, and see what happens, right? Put to the corners.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very technical and very personal, but to me it was just an interesting conversation to you know question my own approach and just seeing what works best for me and seeing some different
Yeah.
things in around and see what so I let my thoughts not be cloudy. So I'm gonna play around with some different things. Crystal, Marcus may vary, but I kind of reiterate. I would say as a new golfer, I would go GPS. That's just me.
Yeah. No, no,
I
no.
don't think you need to
That's what I was
know.
getting into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You
would
don't need to
personally
cloud your
when I
thoughts.
first say that again.
I say you don't need to cloud your thoughts that much. You just need to think about a few numbers, get it on the green, get it in, and get it out.
Yep. Because you're, as a new golfer, your yardages are not consistent. Your dispersion between your clubs,
Right.
if for ladies, if you hit a 9 iron, I don't know, I've been seeing like 120 yards at the max, or you're going to have a wide dispersion, right? You're going to have fats, some thins. So yardages are really going to be difficult to dial in. I would personally use a simple um, GPS system, and there's tons of apps. Andy's got jokes.
Oh man.
So I do not play golf in glasses at all. So only when I need to look at a screen or my phone. I'm blind, but I'm not like that blind. I honestly cannot even play in glasses. And I have some prescription sunglasses, and I know I should be out there with sunglasses, but it's something weird about the distances. I cannot do glasses. So Andy's got the jokes tonight, my man. All right, our last subject. So I was, spending some time on TikTok, and I know this originally was posted on Reddit, but golf on CBS. You just hold on real quick. He said, "For real, I rock glasses and I ain't got the patience, man. GPS for me.
I
I think
like
it's
that though.
a
You know what works
solid.
best for you. Right.
Yeah." So Golf on CBS reposted this kind of thread from Reddit, and it's all about life in the golf shop. So it's this guy that loves to draw, and he says drawing brings him peace, and so he's written up and drawn some of the scenarios that really kind of get at him. And the first person I thought of was Marcus. So first one. He said, so I'll just read through. He said, I'm a pro shop attendant at a local public course, and I like to doodle the more frustrating aspects of this job. So here we have the guy rolling in like dang near an hour late. Hey, bro, sorry we're a little late. How often does this happen to you, Marcus? And what's the most egregious? And I'm gonna have to keep you on target because I know you get heated about some of these. So, most egregious, and
Already.
how often does this happen?
So, during the week when it's a little bit more free flowing, it's not really that big of a deal. We'll still always manage to get you out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, though, when the weather's good in the fall and stuff like that, or early spring, and we have tea times, one after another, a lot of times they come in a little bit too relaxed. We don't get calls or anything like that. It's always easier to maneuver and have a heads up if you call ahead and let us know. So this is one of my biggest pet peeves,
Yeah,
and they're just way too nonchalant. We're like, hey, we're actually on time. We're making good pace. Like, let's try to get you to the box as fast as possible. I already called ahead to the starter. I let them know that you're on the way. And here they are. Next thing you know, to like kind of like really magnify the problem, then they look behind them and they're like, hey, I need a glove. Where are your gloves at? And so now they got to try on gloves.
well, it's always
You know what?
it's always that
I
person, right? Yeah,
it's always it's just and so the cumulative of it really has me tilted. Hey, what kind of balls do you think I should grab? I'm about an 18 handicap. Well, what do you typically do? Are you more accurate or do you need more distance? Oh, I don't really pay attention. You know, I play Vice sometimes, and then y'all have any
Do
Callaway
do
balls?
y'all have no, do y'all have some
Absolutely.
noodles in y'all shop? What's the
No, we have
cheapest ball that y'all
Pinnacle.
have?
Pinnacle. And you get
Okay.
an extra sleeve. 15 pack for $30 and then tax. So it ain't no excuse.
It's
We
pretty
we
good.
definitely got some cost efficient. That's what I'm saying. We got some cost efficient stuff. No reloads, no recycles, no regens, no nothing like that. So Pinnacles and then True Fills. True Fills are like 35 or like right under 35. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is one of my biggest
So
pet peeves, and it's usually in the morning, not in the afternoon. In the afternoon, it's already
yeah.
started to space out.
Do y'all ever, if somebody called ahead, would y'all ever slide people up? Like, let's say groups ahead of them are there. Like, say, hey, we're gonna start you out. I know your tea time was 10:30. We're gonna move you to, or excuse me, 10:38. We have a group that's missing. We're gonna slide y'all up to 10:30. Do y'all ever do that?
We leave it up to the starter because if the starter, sometimes,
Okay.
I mean, we got some veteran starters. So on the weekends, we try to have our most experienced people that know, like, generally, like, our early morning crowd is always the same kind of tea times and same people, either members or like regulars and stuff like that. So they typically know how to maneuver it. Group gets there a little bit early. Our tea times are running early. You're going to get off earlier. We call, like I said, we call
Yeah.
ahead. Hey, my 9:30 isn't checked in yet, so if your 9:40 is already at the box, send them out. And a lot of times,
All right.
there's always those dickheads that are like, "Yo, we're 2 hours early. Is there any way we can get out a little bit earlier?" So they're sitting by the tee box and stuff like that. So that's another one of my
That's
pet peeves,
okay.
but we'll
I
get
see how
into that
I'm.
toward the
I'm gonna
end of it.
keep you on.
We're going
I'm gonna keep
next.
you
Yeah,
on
we're going
track because
next.
yeah. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. All right. Let me get out the absolute earliest tea time tomorrow, and then no, that's way too early.
Oh,
um.
so this is Brian's biggest pet peeve, who I work with a lot.
Okay.
My old head that I talked to you about in our personal conversations. So this is one of his
Yeah.
biggest pet peeves. He immediately goes, "What's your early?" I don't ever feel the need to say that because if you want to play this game, I will play the game. Okay, my earliest available is 7:05. Whoa, that's too early. Okay, like I said, what time works for you? And then they're like, yeah, you're right. Because I get into them and I'm like,
well.
you ain't gonna wake up that early. You know that's not for you.
Well. I think the question that I get the most often, because I'm for my group, I'm the scheduler. So I personally try to use
Hmm.
the online system as much as possible. I think everybody
Right.
should go to that at some point. Minus the Golf Now fees. So if you have your system connected to Golf Now, I don't book on your course. I hate that. Paying extra convenience fees to book online is annoying. But I get the question a lot is what time were you thinking versus I think that's the question I think should be used as a retort because then that literally because I tell them like, hey, I was looking online. It looks like you had three tea times in a row at 9 o'clock. Can I get those? And they're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, and it speeds up the process for everybody. So I don't know. Maybe that's the verbiage to use is what time were you thinking? For those
Yeah.
randos that say the absolute earliest, I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, we respond like that, but also people are offended by tone sometimes. Because, like, we've already heard this discussion 30 times in the morning or throughout the weekend. And so we might not always be the happiest person saying, well, when could you be here? Or when were you thinking? So it'll be kind of like sometimes it's a little bit aggressive. I will say sometimes I'll fold into
Okay.
that. But no, that is absolutely the best question. And that's what I go to
Yeah.
next. It's kind of like, well, I mean, how many players you got? You got a course preference because all that stuff matters. Lakes might be a little bit more
Yeah, for y'all.
busier. Highlands might be a little bit more, a little bit more open. So yeah, it really just depends on what course you're thinking and how many players you got. Well, I got a 725 for
Yeah.
two, but if you trying to fit in three or four, it's gonna have to be around nine. Nine works. Okay, boom, 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 and then we go from there. So yeah, that's not really too aggy to me, but I get it.
Crystal says, I'm not a
Love that
morning
about
person.
you,
That will
Crystal.
never be my request.
But you also probably in an
I'm not
area
a
where
morning.
heat, getting out in front of the heat is
Yeah,
not going to be like a big deal because that's a battle in and of itself.
yeah. I don't know. I'm not a morning person for anything else. You asked me to get up for 7 o'clock for work.
No,
I'm not the
no,
best attitude, but 7 o'clock for golf, I
I'm there.
my brain gets going.
I'm there.
Multiple alarms for
I'll wake
work.
up
One alarm gets me up for golf.
and I might already
Um,
be up.
this one's kind. I don't know how you feel about this one. I was kind of like, I actually have an anecdote that goes with this. So we're 5 minutes out. What's the weather like over there? So a couple of years ago, Crystal, we were going out for one of somebody's birthday, some kind of
Hmm.
celebration, and Crystal was like in Lancaster, heading back to our house. So it's about a 25-minute drive. And she was like so distraught that she was running late. She's like, it's raining cats and dogs. And she couldn't believe me that it was dry at our house. And so,
Mm,
she was super frustrated. And, we experience it all the time. I mean, maybe, I don't know this happens everywhere, but it can be raining on one street and then be completely dry on the next. So I don't know. This
for
one, I
sure.
didn't. I get where he's coming from. I would have loved to him. I mean, save the phone call, but clearly it frustrates him. What do you think about this one? Have you experienced this one?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's not 5 minutes out. It's, hey, we're in Humble. It's literally black out here. What's it look like over there? Oh, we're fine. We're good. And it's just,
Hey,
again, something we deal with a lot. So it's more so the annoyance of the repetitiveness of the question more so than anything. And it's just like what he
then the question
said.
itself.
Yeah, then the question is, and it's just like what he said, bro. We literally are not on a private course here. We don't have our own satellite and lightning rods here. We literally use the weather bug and the
You
weather channel app, bro. Pull out your smartphone and look it up.
right, right.
You
The
can
iPhone
literally
has an
zoom into
excellent.
the area you want. It really does. It can isolate everything it is for you. You don't want to go there? Pay for my weather, brother. I promise you, you will get exact radar detections. Ugh.
All right. This one, yeah. We only deal with this one a handful of times in Texas. Frost delay. Hey, how we looking? And it's been like 10 minutes. That
Yeah,
is annoying. I hate being at a course when this is going on because the impatience starts to kick in. Honestly, I've probably walked away from a handful of rounds where there was a frost delay because one, you never
yeah,
know when it's going to happen. I mean, yeah, you can also get onto your weather app and see when temperatures are starting to change, but if there's cloud cover, it can really just not happen when you think it's going to happen. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, I get the annoyance on that because, like I said, I get
yeah. We get
impatient,
a
and
few of
as a
these.
player, I just leave.
Yep, we get a few of these a year. Mainly weather delays are more my annoyance, and that's just you. You know what? I've started to open my eyes about this too. It's more you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So sometimes you weren't able to hear what we were saying, but we have once again announced this on the loudspeaker, right? Like, our course, we have the pro shop in one section, and you got the main clubhouse. Our microphone reaches the staging area where the carts are at, the patio, inside, and then across in the clubhouse and in the patio by the putting green over there, and everywhere in between where people would be gathering to see about these updates, and they do not listen. So it's kind of like, hey, it's 30 minutes. If there's been no lightning strikes within 5 to 10 miles, we try to be lenient on these types of things. So we do 5 miles at our course. Some courses are a little bit more stringent,
Hmm.
they're 10 miles. But as in Houston, as fast as it comes is as quick as it'll go. So that's why we try to do about five
Yep.
miles, especially with weather channel apps and apps like that. You get a chance to see how it's moving, what it's doing on the radar. Okay, it's on the south
Yeah.
side of us. It seems to be moving towards Sugarland. It seems to be moving over towards Katy. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit longer, maybe give it another 15 minutes, and then we'll make an announcement. So you checking back every
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes, and you got the first announcement.
Just just
Yes, that
just
is
just
so
wait for the
aggravating.
announcement. Just
Go
wait
back
for
into
the
the bar and
announcement.
grill and get another drink, bro. You'll be fine. Let's just
um
skip this. Let's just skip
I
this
don't
ride. Lord
I don't,
Jesus.
yeah,
Oh
we
my
know this
God.
this if you can't let me and my 33 other players tee off 45 minutes late, I'll take my business elsewhere. Also, I'll just say one thing. As someone who books for between 12 and 16 guys each week, as you have, this is just a person that's a jerk. They're an a-hole. I'm very
Yes.
considerate of courses, like trying to let them know, hey, if somebody falls off, if we're going to have open
Yep.
spots, canceling a tee time, getting in my group and saying, hey, it's Thursday, we're playing Saturday. If there's any opportunity that you might have to miss, let me know so I can just cancel the
Let
whole
me
tee time
know.
rather than we can show up with 12 rather than 13 and taking up a whole other slot on their schedule. So this
Yep.
person's just a jerk, and so do better. Um, okay, so this one I was just like, I know y'all have the course called the Lakes. It's a lot of
Hmm.
water. Have y'all ever had
Yeah.
anybody drive one into the water at y'all's course?
We are very lucky. It's in my occurrence here has only been two and never when I was at work. One literally, so Rod, you know the course number three now. It's that par five that's layup,
Yeah,
island green. So like at that bendy part where you're parking the carts, bro said he
yeah.
turned the wheel and lost control and it reverse spun out and it went right and just dunked into the water. Craziest shit I've ever seen. And then a beverage cart girl is she keeps trying to deny it, but saying that the steering went out, she was on her phone and literally went straight
Oh,
into the pond between 18 green and 18 fairway in that little sliver by the tee boxes. Yeah, yeah, right.
I believe it. And the first guy probably sounds like he was on his phone,
As
overcorrected,
well.
after
Mm-hmm.
realizing he was swerving. So in
Leg
the
in the
case, especially like the
air.
Bev cart, because that's a big cart. How did y'all fish them out? How did they get recovered?
We had to bring in like an excavator or something like that and just tow it out. A lot of the food
Wow.
and she wasn't luckily I don't like the container that keeps the drinks like floated to the top and not a lot of that stuff like just fell out. The iPad was gone, her phone was gone, like stuff like that
Yeah.
though, just hard to recover. But the actual card itself wasn't too bad to recruit and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
relatively
Okay.
easy, especially because
Imagine
the lake
having
was not too shallow. But yeah, bro, headache though.
jumping back. Andy said we get a ton of these. If your tea time is 8 o'clock and then delay us because you're in North Carolina. Is that correct, Andy?
That's tough.
So I can see that.
Yeah, it is cold. It's Atlantic.
And this one again, I love that he did the drawings because you can definitely know that this is like people he's depicting in
You can
real
see
life.
it.
So
Oh yeah,
42
you can see
bucks.
that.
It was 32 yesterday. Like this one, like I know you've like
Oh
people that argue with you about the online rate or a special that they
yes,
saw online versus booking in the shop. I mean, that's anywhere you go. I mean, there's
anywhere.
certain things that are available online that might be different. I mean, let's even just take it away from golf. You buying food on like Uber Eats costs more than it costs you to get it in the store. So I think
Yes,
this is like this the dumbest comparison to make for anybody, right? And then the nerve of people to get mad and want you to price match. And I'm sure there's some ignorant people that like I have a couple guys in my group that qualify for the senior rate. And so like on holidays, they'll get mad when the senior rate doesn't apply because they're like, it's a holiday. Everybody's full
Yeah.
price on this day. I'm sorry, there's no exceptions. So I hate this customer. They're just
My favorite
jerks.
is when people argue the senior rate on Friday, and I'm like, brother, how long have you been alive, and how many places have you gone to where they have indeed included Friday as a weekend? We are no different here. Friday is a weekend. There is no senior rate on the
Yep.
weekends. Oh, mm.
Last one. We need a rain check for 9. We stopped after 8. I know you've
Yeah, no.
experienced this one. I know we've talked about this one before.
Yeah, bro. I mean, there's just it's now in the situation where like if it's not extreme, bro, keep it moving. You gonna take a L here, and it ain't nothing we gonna do about it, bro. You want a drink? I'll get you a drink from the bar, but I ain't refunding you, and you ain't getting a rain check. It is clear blue skies. You didn't get rained on. There were no delays. You didn't even call and try to get the problem acquiesced. So if you were maybe calling and like, hey, I tried to get a hold of the marshal, tried to talk to the starter, tried to call y'all, no answer. Maybe then we might be able to do something for you. But more times than not, there is 2 phones right in the pro shop. There is 3 pro shop attendants usually. There's a GM there 6 out of the 7 days, and there is at least a marshal on each course and a starter. So don't tell me you didn't have a chance to call or you didn't have a chance to sit here and verbally
Just
explain what's
communicate,
going
right?
on
Just
to
communicate.
where we can try to solve the issue. But yeah, as far as slow
Yeah,
play
this is
goes and
just
stuff like that as rain checks, yeah, that does not happen no more. It does not
hmm,
happen over here, brother. No, I mean,
okay.
look, we tell you ahead of time what pace is expected and what it should be.
Right.
So you should be turning at
And y'all,
this.
y'all,
You
y'all
should.
have a bunch of marshals. I, and
We
it's
do.
different because y'all have a pretty decent marshal staff, and there's just some courses that unfortunately aren't staffed that way, or the marshals don't have the gumption to tell a slow playing group that they need to pick up the pace. And so, I
Right.
mean, the downstream effect is that you have pissed off people behind that. And I get it. It's never fun to play behind a slow group, but there's ways to handle it. Like you said, you just call ahead and kind of mention it or do whatever you have to do to kind of alleviate that situation, and be proactive about it, not just hop off the course and expect some money
Right.
back from that. And those are always the ones that have the worst reviews online. Like when I go look at courses and see, if it's one I haven't played frequently or it's been a while and I go check the reviews to see where they're at, you always see complaints about, for the courses that are notorious for that, complaints about slow play. And
Yep.
every time, it's like without fail.
Hmm.
So that's life in the pro shop. I don't even want to talk about, usually we'll talk about a little bit of football at the end. We'll save our Dallas Cowboy hate for next week. We'll see if they bounce
Yeah.
back. I'm
Fuck
not gonna
them.
get frustrated. I want to get to watching some Monday Night Football. Apparently, there's 2 games on today, so
For
let
some
people get
reason.
back to it. I appreciate Andy, Crystal for joining. Love y'all guys. Anybody else that chimed in, appreciate you guys for sticking with us and always being there. Bearder Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
We'll catch y'all next week. Peace.